I'm really excited to see Robert Eggers' new film, The Northman, and decided to check out his very first film, The Witch, which I hadn't seen yet, and boy is it good. Hi, my name's Stu and welcome to another review video on Flying Wiener. I have talked about Robert Eggers' last film, which was The Lighthouse, previously on this channel. I will leave a link to that video at the end of this one if you want to check that out. It's a film I highly recommend. I feel that it is better than The Witch, the film we're talking about today, which is actually a compliment because The Witch is already very good, and The Lighthouse just shows how much he has learned since The Witch, but that doesn't mean that The Witch is a bad film, far from it. Now, as I mentioned, I'm very much looking forward to The Northman, that, and another film that I'm really looking forward to, which I've mentioned previously in a few videos, is Everything Everywhere All at Once. These two films are released around about the same time. I hope in Vienna, still waiting on a release date for Everything Everywhere All at Once, but The Northman is definitely coming end of April, and I am absolutely excited to see a Robert Eggers film in the cinema for the first time, because until now I've only seen them on Blu-ray, which has been a bit of a shame. Speaking of that, the sound mix of both films, The Lighthouse and The Witch, is really, really crazy. So unfortunately, because I do have a nearly 2-year-old daughter, and she was sleeping at the time in the floor above me, but the television was still so loud that I had to turn it down quite a lot to prevent her from waking up. So the sound, when it gets intense, it really climbs in volume, so just be aware of that if you're watching at home. That's why I'm really looking forward to the cinematic experience, where obviously that is not an issue, where I want to experience it at the volume that it's intended to be. So that may be a first minor criticism, but again, I believe that's just my personal circumstances here, because I'm just not in an environment where I can just have it blaring at me as loudly as it's meant to be. So that's just a small thing, really. It's got nothing to do with the mix itself. I absolutely get that you want the tension high up, and it definitely works, so it's actually not a negative comment. So what is the film about? I mean, the name obviously implies quite a lot. We are actually in the 1600s, so 17th century. We are in America, in New England, so we've got a family of settlers. They have come over from England. They are actually in a community, but they decide to leave it, and they build their own little farmhouse close to a forest. And I'll come to that later. I've got something to say about that. So we're just focused on this one family throughout the whole film. There are actually no other characters except at the very start when they leave their settlement. They start to experience strange things. The family's children, they start disappearing. And it's not really a big secret. We do actually get to see, there is a reveal quite early on that we are actually dealing with a witch. So this is a supernatural story. We do have supernatural elements. I won't spoil them exactly, because that's something I'll talk about later when we come to the horror-esque stuff that goes on. But that is the main gist of the film. So it is about a family living close to a forest and family members disappearing. And because we're in the 17th century, there is also a very strong religious aspect to all this. The family is very religious, and they try to obviously use the tools available to them to battle what they are witnessing, which in their eyes can not be natural, and in fact it isn't. We know it isn't. So that's as far as I'll tell you about the plot, how it goes, etc. You will have to find out for yourself. We are focused on this family, but at the same time the main character is Anja Taylor-Joy's character called Thomason, and I was actually quite thrilled to see this was her very first film. It's actually quite crazy to think of. I mean, I myself have already covered a few things she has done since then. So you've got The Queen's Gambit. She was in Last Night in Soho, which I talked about rather recently, and just so many other things. I've seen her in Split. So to me, she's become a real household name in the meantime, and it's really interesting to think that just 7 years ago, actually, she had her first film feature debut, and it's amazing. I can see why she immediately rose to the fame and stardom that she has, because she is really an incredible actress. Even just here in her very first film, we can see that from the start. So we are rather focused on her and see her experiences, particularly with the younger children. There are two twins, and they accuse her of being a witch, and so you've got a lot of things going on there, her trying to defend herself. You've got an evil goat. So there are various aspects, but we get to see her experience a lot. She's being accused of something. You can see that the two parents, they distrust her or start distrusting her, you know, and so there's a lot of tension there, a lot of conflict, and just watching her is really amazing. To mention the other actors, you've got the father, who is played by Ralph Ineson, probably one of the best voices on the planet. I mean, you could listen to this guy for ages. I absolutely get why he was cast. It's really because we are talking about very religious people, and if you've got someone in such a commanding voice, obviously, you know, it has such an impact to you when somebody is lecturing you in the biblical ways. The mother of the family is played by Dickie, who you will probably also know, just like Ralph Ineson. I mean, these two people have been in so many things. They're really great actors, and she is great as well, because Dickie's character, so the mother, she is trying to deal with all this in her own way. The children disappearing one after the other. You know, she is probably even more religious, so she's praying a lot of the time, you know, just trying to somehow make sense of what's going on, and she becomes more and more distraught as this goes on. She has her own things happening in this film as well, very, very bizarre. Definitely one of my wide-eyed moments of this film was a scene she was in. So there's a lot of visual stuff that really just takes you, like, you know, by surprise. And the last actor I'll mention is Harvey Scrimshaw. He plays Thomason's just slightly younger brother, and I just want to mention him because he also gets some really good scenes in the film. But for such a young actor, he does a really great job. So everything, it doesn't seem fake or anything. So already at such a young age, showing incredible acting skills. I really need to mention that. So you should watch this film for the acting alone, but we of course have to talk about the horror, and I don't know, it's a bit like The Lighthouse in that sense, and I do actually like to compare Robert Eggers to Ari Aster, who did Hereditary and Midsommar, which I've already talked about on the channel as well, Midsommar at least. And the two of them to me are very, very similar, as in these are titled or classified as horror films, but I don't know, they're not these kind of horror films where they're trying to scare you, you know, there's no jump scares, there's no boo, you know, got you, or any of these things. The horror, it's a bit hard to describe. To me, it's very Lovecraftian, so it's very deep-seated, you know, it's just like your primal fears are somehow being awoken here. It's just, you can tell from the get-go something's not right, and it just plays so well. The surrounding area, I mean, I don't know why you would choose to build your house right next to a bloody forest. That's the worst thing I could imagine for my house. Just, I can picture myself and getting goosebumps doing it. Standing at the window, looking out at the forest, and you know, just at the edge of it, someone's just standing there looking at you. I mean, that would happen to me, I know it, you know, and I would be scared shitless. So I don't know why they chose to put the house there. Very bad idea in my opinion. But the atmosphere is incredible. You've got the camera work. It's always, you know, we've got wide shots, and you always feel like you should be looking out for something. You know, there's something you can't see. There's about to happen, whatever. But the whole thing just makes you feel uneasy, and like I say, it's really deep-seated, so I really enjoy this type of horror, if we want to classify it as that. It's not scary in that sense, you know, but it's just the tension, the unease is masterful in this. It works in tandem with the music, so we've got the music really, really growing in volume, and I mean, I mentioned it rather to the start, where it gets to an almost crescendo, and it really, you know, it's like someone is really scraping on chalkboards or something. It's that sense of unease, if that kind of thing makes you uneasy. But you know, it's just used so well, and we've also got the contrary, where they use silence in such a great manner just to build tension. So it is a great film. Like I say, comparing the two, I would prefer The Lighthouse, just because I just like that story more, I like it visually more, and it just shows how Robert Eggers has just, you know, had his own little evolution since The Witch. But this is a fabulous starting point. To think that this is the directorial debut, his very first film, and it's already leagues above so many other directors. You know, this guy really knows his stuff. I am so excited to watch The Northman. I would love for Robert Eggers and Ari Aster to get together and make a film. I mean, that is something, I think we would discover just a new level of fear, you know, really existential fear, if those two got together and developed a film. I mean, that would be really, really exciting. So many reasons to watch this. If you like, you know, stories about religion in 17th century, for instance, and you like these stories where people, you know, try to explain the supernatural away or use their religious tools to combat that. This is really a story for you. Wonderful actors, incredible atmosphere, really, it must be said again. So if any of this sounds interesting to you, you really should check out this film. That'll be all from me today. I'll thank you for watching. Look forward to a review of The Northman once it comes out. I will definitely be doing that, absolutely. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share and subscribe. It is the best way to support this channel. Leave a comment down below if you've seen the film, if you're looking forward to The Northman. What do you think about Robert Eggers? Are you as excited about him as I am? I hope you are. Any and all that down in the comments below. I'll thank you again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video on Flying Wiener. Take care.